Hello, everyone. It's Friday, and we're glad to have you with Chat with Mac. We are happy to have our regulars join us, and if you're new, we're also happy to have you see what we do every Friday and talk about what's going on in the world in terms of technology and things of that nature. So, Nadeem, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Busy day today. A lot of things happening. Something interesting that I don't deal with a lot was uh, a domain. Well, the customer's not sure yet, but we're thinking a domain being held hostage.
Really?
We're not sure yet. So, yeah, I mean, so business owners and decision makers are so focused on the operational side of things that a lot of times they miss the stuff that we think should be standard operating procedure. In this case, it was more of a case of where the domain was actually registered by a partner slash friend, and over time the owner lost contact with this friend, and then it was time to renew their domain, and they couldn't get a hold of him.
Oh, wow.
So then they were afraid that this person may not want to release their domain, and all this legal stuff, and registrars are involved. So, bottom line being, if they get a court order and freeze everything as it is, they don't know if their domain name will keep serving names or not, if the DNS hosting provider, which is also their registrar, if they'll just freeze everything and not do any rain resolution. And what that means is that they will lose their website, their email, I mean, all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, and I actually asked him. I was like, "Hey, can I use you guys as a reference so that we can use it for education later on?"
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be open to that. it's a it's a it's a new business uh, regarding some new technology, but I don't want to say more than that.
Gotcha.
um,
Gotcha.
so, but yeah, I mean, it was interesting. This right after. Uh, so yesterday, I walked into the house, and usually my wife has the TV going, and some kind of news going on, and I just walked by and I saw the president talking about the pipeline
Yeah.
attack,
Yeah.
and it was interesting. It was like these large companies have stooped down to what some backyard two-person business would be doing. I mean, how can you run a multi-million dollar company and yet get a ransomware attack? I mean, why? After the hospital that got hit in LA, after
Hmm.
all this stuff, after all these companies and providers have been talking about these attacks, are the CEOs asleep at the wheel, or what is going on? Or do CTOs need to start running companies and become CEOs? I don't know. I don't know what's happening. It's like I guess it's like the ostrich burying its head in the sand and thinking everything is fine.
Yeah.
um,
That's been a
but
big thing. I mean, we saw the blowback, and for all those of you that haven't been in the world or whatever, he's talking about the colonial pipeline that was actually hacked. And if I'm hearing this correctly, they paid them a pretty hefty sum in order to
so
get that.
it was pretty hefty but not if you look at the big picture, because typically a company that size, when they get hit by ransomware, typically the ransom is pretty high, a lot higher than what they asked for. So that was kind of different because I mean, you hit such a big company and then you only ask for 5 million.
Mm,
I mean, yeah, 5 million is a lot of money, but for a large corporation that deals with billions, that's a drop in the bucket.
right.
And so I think there are some schools of thought that maybe the hackers uh, stumbled on the idea that this might create an international event and that the US government will get heavily involved in this just because it's a direct threat to the infrastructure of the country. And maybe they just said, okay, well, instead of this normal amount that we asked for, let's just go a piddly amount, which this is a piddly amount for such a large company. And that's why the company didn't even blink twice. Well, I'm not sure, but I think they paid the ransom. That's what the reports that are coming in. So, uh, but was it a good thing to pay the ransom? I don't think it was a good thing. It's never a good thing to pay a ransom or to to fall for the demands of a terrorist, and that's what this is. It's never a good idea. In the long run, it never works out well. But that's just me.
Mm,
In this case, number one, it is an unknown. I mean, you can pay the 5 million and still not have the data back. That could happen. I mean, we see that happen all the time where somebody says, oh, well, can I just pay the ransom? And we tell them, no, don't pay the ransom. Even if you do pay the ransom, there is no guarantee you're going to get the data back. Do you still want to pay the ransom? And if, money's not a problem for them, then they're like, oh, yeah, we'll just pay the ransom and take our chances. What's the worst case? We won't get the data and we'll be 5 million out. Drop in the bucket. Maybe that's how they're thinking. But but now what's happened is if the hackers can get away with attacking such a core infrastructure thing like an oil pipeline that really is the backbone of industry in the country, will they be more brazen going forward? That's the question, and they might be now more bold to you know target some other businesses that are core to the infrastructure, the economy, and all of that. So interesting thing happening, almost exciting thing happening, not in a good way, in a bad way, but um, this is just after, I mean, the whole year, first the pandemic, then the solar winds, now this, and all these other attacks that are coming in that we don't even hear about because some of the hackers are smart. They're targeting small business where they can fly under the radar and not make national news. I think in this case the hackers kind of messed up. They screwed up because they hit such a high profile target. So we'll just have to see what happens, how it um, how the fallout of this works. Now, I mean, and this is not just for the U.S., but paying this ransom is really going to make the hackers look at other developed countries as well to attack more core infrastructure entities, and they'll just, because if they can get away with that, maybe their mo going forward would be attack large profile companies but ask for a low ransom and they'll quietly pay it because by the time it hits the news it's already too late, the ransom has already been paid.
that's true.
So it's I don't think it was a good idea to pay the ransom, but then I don't know all the details of what transpired. But it's a rare case that paying a ransom or bending to the whims of a terrorist works out well in the long run. So we'll have to see.
But now,
But anyway,
how does this, in terms of, we were talking about this in our Securing Your Business webinar, and the thing was, trying to point some things out. When this happens to big corporations, of course, you said this often, they have to tell the public, of course. They absolutely have to tell the public that this happens. But for the small businesses that we call on every day that don't really pay attention, if you will, to stuff like this and don't understand, the far-reaching consequences. I mean, maybe you can talk a little bit about that because, I see it every day. Oh, we're fine. We're too small, and I'm amazed that with everything that's been going on, that people still think they're too small to get hit. When I think I put out a figure, 48% of businesses hackers that look for small businesses. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Majority of hack targets are small to medium sized business because if it's not a publicly traded company, then they don't have to reveal anything publicly, and it's a much more lower profile attack. And a lot of the smaller businesses are simply just not prepared. They're not reaching out to the right people. They're not investing to secure. Basically, they're seeing investment in security as insurance as opposed to preventative uh, maintenance or even an investment. I think when these things mature and the people start thinking that implementing good security practice is an investment, that's when things will really start to change. I think that's what'll happen. Um, right now, C-level suite wants to focus on operations of the business. They're more focused on how are we getting clients, how are we reducing costs, how are we being more productive, are do we have good processes in place. They're not thinking security, and I think that's what the bad guys are taking advantage of. Is they know that C-level suite is not focused on security, and if they attack small to medium business, a lot of times they're going to fly under the radar. Nobody's going to know any better. I mean, the group that attacked the pipeline, I mean, they've been in business for a while. They've been doing this for a while, and it's not a unknown new group. It's a known group. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's and security is one of those things that it's a layered approach. It's a process. It's not like you can just go out and buy a product, put it in place, and boom, hey, I'm secure. It doesn't work like that.
Unfortunately, a lot of people think like that. That's exactly how they think.
Yeah, and the example that I give people is I don't know if they even remember, but there used to be a company called Netscape.
Hmm.
They used to make a browser. And one day the CEO got up on the wrong side of the bed and he says, "Oh, we are unbreakable. We are hack proof. We cannot be hacked." He made that bold statement. And by next day, they were hacked. And now a lot of people don't even know that there was such a company called Netscape. It was
Hmm.
big back in the day. I remember we used to use dial-up connections and then use Netscape as the
Yep.
as the browser, and but it's gone. And the thing is, yeah, there were a lot of other things going on. I mean, the market forces and stuff. But the bottom line is, uh, you make a claim like that, and then you get hacked, and C-level suite just doesn't know enough to make the right decision, and the people that are surrounding the C-level suite, a lot of times they will say things like, "Oh yeah, we implemented a firewall, we're good," or "Yeah, we implemented, we're checking dark web breaches, we're good." So they're more looking at a product perspective of things. Like they're thinking you can put a product in place and call it secure,
Right.
when security is really a process. It's like I try to tell people, the way we reduce IT costs is not we magically, wave a wand and things happen and your cost goes down. It's not like that. It's a it's a process we've honed over the last 20, 25 years. I mean, it's taken a lot of effort for us to get to this point where now we can put our process in place, after we put our process in place, within 3 months the customer starts to see the costs go down, the noise, which is the tickets. And I always tell my people, don't call it noise, and here I am. But the noise start to go down, and noise in our sense is the volume of tickets, support tickets coming in, reactive support tickets. We want to minimize that. And how do we minimize that? Standardizing stuff using our process. And that's the key to it. That's the key to security, is the process.
Hmm.
If something goes south, that means your process is broken. You need to tweak your process.
Yep.
And here's the other thing about the process. It's not like you can just wake up one day and snap your fingers and boom, you have a good process in place. It's stuff that you have to be focused on, you have to develop over time, and you have to reach that maturity level that just takes time. It's not something that you can just do overnight. It's the difference between a company that was formed 5 years ago and a company that's been in business for 20 some odd years. Yeah, the company that's been in business for 20 years is going to have some processes in place,
Yeah.
that they have honed in over time. So I guess ultimately it's time that everybody needs. The more time you have, and that's everybody wants time, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. If everybody had indefinite time, things would be very different. But but in this case, the security thing, I haven't really seen an uptick in prices where I am, as far as gasoline or diesel.
Right.
But the other day I was going somewhere, and my wife texted me and she says, so I have an auxiliary tank on my truck, and my wife texted me. She says, I better fill your tanks up. And I was like, why? What's going on? And she says, oh, there's this oil pipeline hack. And I was like, yeah, but that was like 3 days ago. I mean, I knew about it when it first came to light, and so I had known about it for a few days, but I never really thought that it would impact prices locally for us, and where I am, it didn't. But I know in some parts of Texas the prices are kind of going up and have gone up, in certain places. I think last time I filled up with diesel, it was like 269 per gallon, and that's where it's been hovering. So it wasn't too bad. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's this is this is the reality we live in, and a lot of small businesses think that this is not going to happen to them because they're too small, or this happens over there, this doesn't happen
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. The
Yeah.
way these hackers work is, so what they'll do is they'll have a bot. Think of it like a robot. And this bot is going out and it's scanning. I mean, it's scanning like thousands of IPs per second. I mean, it's just going out scanning. And this bot is not just one bot, it's a farm. It's a farm of bots that's scanning. So, if one bot can scan, let's say, 1,000 addresses in a second, and if you have a farm of 10,000 bots, whoa, that's, you can scan so many different networks.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. These bots will scan, they will kind of pick the low hanging fruit, and then the hackers will now focus on that low hanging fruit. And right now, pretty much everybody is a low hanging fruit because nobody's serious about security.
That's true. That's true.
And I think that's like the flag that um, I don't want to say wake up call. I think wake up call came and went a while back. Now it's just ignore it, it'll go away type deal. I don't know, but a lot of things that, I mean, we as an IT company, we still do things for security on a daily basis. We still tweak our process on a daily basis. We still patch machines on a daily basis. I mean, we do all these things even though we're in IT, because we see and hear how critical this is. We actually see it in the field how critical things like this are. It's like um, a long time ago, up on 290, there was this company. It was they used to make solar turbines, and uh, I forget the name. It's a big company. I forget the name of it. But anyway, and the reason I remember is in the building they used to have, like, in the center they used to have this long uh, thing of solar cells hanging. It was beautiful. I mean, because the reflections and stuff. It was beautiful, but it was really a solar turbine that they used to sell. And the IT admin in there decided that he wasn't going to patch his machines, his users' machines, because sometimes patches can break, you know, applications, especially if you have older applications. So, so he stopped patching. And I don't know how long ago he stopped patching, but all I know is that they got breached, their machines got compromised, and ultimately the IT admin had to leave the company. And I told my guys, I was like, look, if you were patching and a machine broke, you're not going to get fired. But if you were not patching and a machine got breached, you are
Yeah.
going to get fired. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. And I'm just amazed that such a high profile company would almost silently pay ransom. I mean, the news came out after they had already paid the ransom. Um, I don't know. I don't know if they were engaged with the FBI at that point, because normally if you talk to FBI,
They don't
they
want you
don't
to pay them.
yeah, they don't want you paying anything. They're like, oh, no, no, don't be paying ransom, because it's a big risk. I mean, it's like, even if you pay ransom, you don't know if you're going to get your keys to decrypt your data. There's no guarantee on that. You'll just lose that money, probably. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, here we are. And I just, even your local machines, your personal machines, keep them up to date. uh, it's better for a machine to crash and not run an application because of an update and be secure, as opposed to it being a compromised machine and the owner of the machine doesn't even know it. That's the worst, because then your machine could be one of the bot machines that is scavenging other machines and looking for that low hanging fruit. And you don't want to be that guy.
Hmm, that's
But
good.
but yeah, so that's all I have. I'm kind of a little tired today. I've been
It's been around.
just been busy. I got so many projects going on, and I got so many estimates I need to put out there. But it's fun. It's good. It's good to stay busy.
Ladies and gentlemen, if at any point you want to talk to us about, we do a free assessment that we run through your infrastructure, and Nadeem goes through it with you and tell you where your glaring spots are. Listen, it's complimentary, and it's very thorough. Let us know. Give us a call. Shoot me an email if you need to, so we can go ahead and schedule an appointment so that Nadeem can run through it with you and tell you where you may have some glaring spots. I guarantee it'll be great for you.
So yeah, that's a good point, Mac. So one of the things, let me say this: there has yet to be a company that we've done an assessment for that came out 100%.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies think they are at 100%. That only tells us that they don't even know what their blind spots are. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing about blind spots is, if you don't know that a blind spot exists, you don't even know about it. It's like, you don't know what you don't know.
That's true. That's true.
It's only after you find out that the eyes open up and say, "Oh, I didn't know that. That's big. We need to fix that yesterday." And then we work with your local IT guys or your IT team to figure out how to make it happen yesterday, We haven't figured that out. We cannot make it happen yesterday. We can only make it happen in the future. But maybe we'll get there one day where we can
One
make it
day.
happen yesterday. but but the thing is, it's it's one of those things. A blind spot is that something that you don't know, and what you don't know, you don't know. You cannot accommodate for things that you don't even know. It's like, so I always recommend, I mean, if you have an IT team in house, get another team to do the assessment, because your IT team is busy putting out fires every day. They are not the ones you want to engage to do a security assessment. Get
Yeah.
somebody else, get another team, get another group, get a group from the business side of things to do the assessment. But get somebody to get another set of eyes on your infrastructure before something like what happened in this pipeline case happens to you, and you end up
Absolutely.
having to pay 5 million ransom. I mean, even, for some small companies, even 50,000 is a lot of money. I
A
mean,
lot
you
of
pay
money.
50,000 in just ransom, and then even after that, if you don't get your data back, might as well close shop and go
Close
home.
shop. Well, I think they say 68% of companies, that small businesses that do that, they close up shop. They can't
Yeah, they
survive.
don't
So
recover. Yep, yep. It's one of those things, they don't recover, and we see this. I mean, well, knock on wood, and my table is wood, so I'm going to knock on it. Knock on wood. Our customers have not had any breach, which is a good thing, but I know of a lot of other businesses out there that I talk to, owners that I talk to, who will be like, "Hey, this happened, and I just wanted to get a second opinion now." And I'm like, it's kind of late for a second opinion now that you've already been breached. I mean, what can you do now? I can only do so much now that you have already been breached. I can kind of guide them on certain things, but the damage is done.
yeah,
Uh, so the time is now, before you get breached, to secure yourself, because once the breach happens, there's all kinds of things that come into play. And I mean, things like, legal gets involved, insurance gets involved. I mean, all kinds of things happen, and it's a long, drawn out thing where you feel the repercussions for years down the line, and it's just something that you don't want to get into.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Keep those layers on. Make sure you hone in on your process around security, and then that's one less thing you have to worry about. That's, I mean, think about it. For this pipeline company, they paid 5 million in ransom. They, to secure their systems, they would have had to spend less than 1 million. I mean, if they only had earmarked 1 million budget for their security, it would have been so much better than having to pay 5 million in ransom and still take the risk of whether we're going to get our data back or not.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't.
But I'm an IT guy, so I think different, I guess. But no, folks, it's serious. The security risks that we're seeing now, they're only getting worse, and they're only going to get worse.
Yep.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. Keep in mind, what you see is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole nother mass of that iceberg under the water that you don't see.
Yeah.
That we have a little bit of insight into, and that's why we have these conversations, and we try to get this knowledge out so everybody knows what's happening. So Mac, I think with that we'll close it for the day. And whew, I need to take a break. I need something to drink on my throat.
Yeah. Take a break, sir.
All right, have a good one, Mac, and everybody be good and be safe out there.
Be safe. Have a good one.